How Daisy Found Her Way. The real-life story of Daisy the Goose. Hi. My name is Daisy. I've lived a very exciting life. If you have time, I'd love to share my story with you. When I was just a baby goose gosling, I was separated from my mama and all my brothers and sisters. There were lots of scary dogs at the beach and even some eagles flying around. I think they wanted to eat me. I was so scared. Lucky for me, a nice man scooped me up and carried me home. I knew right away that I would be safe with him. I loved to show him what a great swimmer I was, even though I was still just a baby. Sometimes Dad would pin his shirt up and carry me around in a little pouch. That was kinda silly. I wasn't a kangaroo. I'm a goose. My new daddy would take me down to the lake to look for my brothers and sisters. Sometimes I'd be having so much fun running and swimming that I'd forget to look for them. Daddy had lots of toys for me, but I wanted a real-life friend to play with. He introduced me to a big yellow dog named Friday. Even though I was a goose and he was a dog, we became instant best friends. Friday would be so tired after playing in the water with me. He would share his dog bed and let me play with his fur. I missed cuddling with my brothers and sisters, but this was even better. My body was changing a lot. Feathers were growing in new places, my voice was changing, and I was really smelly. Had to start taking baths every night. It wasn't nearly as much fun as the lake. I was always so hungry. Dad would say that feeding me was a full-time job. Sometimes I'd sit in Daddy's lap and he would hand feed me. I noticed Dad had been acting sad. I think he wanted me to stay young and little forever. Occasionally he would feed me like I was still a baby. Daddy didn't know how to fly, but he insisted that he could teach me. We spent a lot of time at the park practicing. Before I knew it, I was flying all over the place. Sometimes I'd even beat Daddy when we would race. My first summer went by way too fast. My relatives were flying south and the leaves were starting to fall. Some of them were getting stuck in Friday's drool. Yuck! I was excited to start my first day of public school. Dad said I was going to make so many new friends and learn so much about the world. My teacher was non-binary and used they/them pronouns. This means they weren't a man or a woman. She was so nice. Oops. I mean, they was so nice. Teacher taught my class about native Canadian geese. Their land was stolen a long time ago by the snow geese. I wish we could give them their land back so they can just enjoy their fireworks and casinos in peace. Teacher brought some performers to my classroom one day. The dancers said they were human women. I was confused and unsure about that. It looked to me like the dance group had a bunch of peacocks in it. We saw teacher in the hallway after school. They looked stressed. I asked why and they said they had to go potty and didn't know if they should use the boys' or girls' room. I was so confused. I go potty every 5 minutes. And I go wherever I want. Teacher got a bladder infection, so we had a substitute for a while. They read us books about making others feel really good. Emotionally and also physically. One afternoon I snuck Dad's henhouse and Play Goose magazines into my bedroom. They made me feel kinda funny. I wanted to pull on all my feathers. Dad walked in without knocking and saw that I had molted all over my bedroom. I was so embarrassed. The next day I talked to the counselor at my school. She told me that molting is perfectly natural and part of growing up. She said if it felt good I should keep doing it whenever I wanted. One day Dad and I were taking our daily walk to the lake when I saw red and blue flashing lights behind us. A couple white cops pulled us over for no reason. They said that it was illegal for me to be living with my daddy. This was the moment I started to realize that I was very different. The snow geese loved freedom, patriotism, hard work, guns, light beer, the Constitution, and Kid Rock. Daddy always told me these things were good, but teachers said they were bad and we should resist all of them. I found out a few geese attacked a boy named Kyle Chickenhouse who was trying to defend his city from being looted and destroyed. As the geese tried to kill him, Kyle used his big scary gun to shoot them. Dad and a grand jury thought it was self-defense, but teachers said it was murder. I started to watch the news more to find out if other geese were being picked on by the chicken cops. My classmates and I were encouraged to join the Geese Lives Matter movement. Together we did $6 billion in damage to urban goose communities and lots of innocent geese lost their lives. Teachers said our efforts were totally worth it. We beat the snow geese as president and helped a corrupt career politician get elected with more votes than any president in American history. Our new president could barely walk or talk and he didn't even have to campaign. Daddy said it didn't make sense. Others thought that the election was rigged too. There was a protest outside the Capitol and some chickens were escorted inside by the police and FBI. The news called it a chickensurrection. The chickens said it was their First Amendment right. Teachers said the chickens flew the coop to start a coup of the government. The news started reporting about a bird flu pandemic. How scary, Rachel Mad Cow said if we got basted we couldn't catch it or spread it. Thank goodness. The school health teacher came to our class to tell us about the bird flu. He said if we wear masks and breathe in our own air all day we will be safe. The snow geese kept insisting the bird flu originated from birds. But teachers said it was racist to blame birds for the virus. People started wearing masks while driving alone in their Subarus and Priuses. Silly gooses. That didn't make sense. Dad told me to not be dumb like that. He also didn't want me to get basted. I didn't listen to my daddy though. I went to Planned Goosehood to visit Dr. Fauci. He insisted that getting basted was safe and effective. He also put me on puberty blockers so I would stay young for daddy. Dad was so mad at me for getting basted without his permission. He grounded me for a month and cut off my allowance. I started stealing money out of his wallet when he wasn't looking, and found a way to sneak out of the house at night. I know I was being a bad goose. I still caught the bird flu even though I was basted and boosted. I felt so yucky. I don't get it. I did almost everything the experts told us to do. I recovered after a couple weeks. Now I just have chest pains in my heart sometimes. Even though I can tell my teacher didn't know a lot about math, science, or history, they won a National Teacher of the Year award. They and my entire class got to go to the White House. When we met the president, he said that I was the best-smelling goose he had sniffed all week. We got to go to a protest in Washington, D.C. There were lots of angry women wearing funny pink hats. They kept breaking eggs, making a big mess. It seemed like a waste of perfectly healthy eggs. Teacher went off to help a group called Hamas fight a war for their freedom. Oh my gooseness. The people she went to help took her hostage the very first day. We haven't heard from her since. The world was changing so quickly. Everything was more expensive than when the snow geese were in charge. Crime, drugs, and homelessness was everywhere. Dad seemed upset. He and I would sit across from each other at the dinner table, but we didn't talk like we used to. Friday and his buddies were now engaging in toxic activities like midget wrestling, monster truck rallies, and even playing worship music for their church. Dad still wanted to cuddle like we used to do. He didn't believe in social distancing or following the 6-foot rule. Time flies. I had gone from a baby gosling to a full-grown goose in 6 months. I was ready to finally leave the nest. I'll never forget the looks on Friday and Daddy's faces when I moved out. They were so sad. I set out to find a wingman, and found a wing woman instead. Her name was Lucy Goosey, and she was beautiful. Lucy was older than me and already in college. She was already making a difference in the world. She was majoring in lesbian underwater basket weaving. I couldn't believe how smart and talented she was. I think she made more baskets than Larry Bird. Lucy and I rented a small studio apartment in Seattle. I was happy to be in an inclusive community around other like-minded birds. They were nothing like my daddy. I finally felt like I belonged. I started working downtown at Starbucks serving overpriced coffee. I learned in school that big capitalist corporations were bad, but I needed a job. Eventually, I want to run for Seattle City Council. I haven't seen Daddy in a really long time. He still hasn't been basted, won't wear a mask, and spends time with the snow geese. I appreciate everything he did for me and I still love him, but those are things I just can't accept. We are just so different. I'm not sure if I'll ever see him again.
If you could read my mind, Daisy, what a tale it'd have to tell. Down by the lakeside, a hero lies in me, but heroes often fail.